Japanese soldiers used to laugh at American flamethrower crews. They called them walking funerals. Slow, exposed, carrying tanks of fuel that could explode with one bullet. But on one brutal day in 1944, on the burning coral ridges of Peleliu, a single American private, Henry Bowen, sprinted straight into machine gun fire with a 70-pound flamethrower strapped to his back, and burned out 3 Japanese bunkers in under 90 seconds. Both sides stopped. Both sides stared, because what Bowen did next would rewrite jungle warfare forever. This is the story of the Bowen Charge, the most reckless, unbelievable, and decisive assault in the Pacific. Japanese forces on Peleliu had spent months turning the island into a fortress. They dug bunkers into the coral, carved tunnels through cliffs, and built interlocking machine gun nests designed to slaughter any Marine who dared approach. They believed no man could face their defensive network and survive. And in most cases, they were right. American squads were pinned down again and again, unable to advance through the maze of fire and concrete. Every ridge was a death trap. Every coconut grove hid a sniper. Every bunker was built for suicide resistance. But Private First Class Henry Bowen did not arrive on Peleliu with the confidence of a hero. He was not the strongest man in his platoon, not the fastest, not the most experienced. He was an ordinary Marine assigned to carry one of the most feared weapons in the Pacific, the M2 flamethrower. It weighed nearly 70 pounds when full, and it made its operator the most obvious target on any battlefield. Japanese soldiers knew that if they killed the flamethrower man, they could break an entire assault. They aimed for them first. Bowen knew the risks. He felt the weight of the tanks digging into his shoulders. He heard the bullets cracking inches above his head as he crawled forward through white-hot coral. He tasted dust, smoke, and fear. But on that day, September 1944, he also felt something else. The crushing pressure of watching his fellow Marines trapped by a machine gun nest that simply refused to die. The Japanese bunker ahead was built into a coral ridge. Its firing ports covered the entire approach. Every Marine who tried to move up the slope was shot down instantly. Grenades bounced harmlessly off the outer lip. Rifle fire vanished into the concrete. The machine gun inside barked with a steady, deadly rhythm, tat-tat-tat-tat, cutting down anyone foolish enough to lift their helmet above the rocks. Bowen watched as a medic tried to crawl forward to reach a wounded Marine. A burst of fire struck the medic and pinned him down beside the casualty. The squad leader yelled for covering fire, but it did nothing. The bunker simply kept firing. Bowen felt something snap inside him. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't wait for orders. He didn't even warn the men beside him. He simply stood. For one single second, everyone around him froze. A flamethrower operator standing up in open terrain was suicide. The Japanese gunner saw him instantly and shifted fire. Bullets ripped into the coral around Bowen's feet, kicking up white shards that sliced his legs. But Bowen didn't stop. He sprinted. The flamethrower tanks hammered his back with each step. The hose bounced against his arm. His boots slipped on loose rock. The air screamed with gunfire. Marines shouted his name, screaming at him to get down, to stop, to turn back. But Bowen wasn't listening. He wasn't thinking. He was simply moving, faster than any flamethrower operator had ever dared move on a battlefield. Later, Marines would swear they had never seen anything like it. It didn't look human. It didn't look possible. They watched a man run directly toward a bunker pouring fire at point-blank range, carrying 70 pounds of fuel. Sprinting like a man racing against death itself, Bowen crashed beside a boulder near the bunker's flank. He gasped for breath. The machine gun barrel swung toward him. He had seconds, maybe less. He stood, aimed the nozzle, and pressed the trigger. A column of fire roared from the hose, a stream of burning fuel that arced through the air and slammed into the firing port. The machine gun stopped instantly. Screams erupted from inside the bunker as the flames filled the interior, igniting ammunition, fuel, and uniforms. The bunker transformed into an oven, glowing orange from within. But Bowen didn't stop. He didn't even look. He was already turning to his left. A second bunker opened fire. The bullet snapped across his helmet, chipping away the paint. Bowen lowered his body, sprinted again, and dove behind another coral lip. The flamethrower tanks were nearly empty, the fuel sloshing loudly. He crawled up the slope, ignoring the pain, ignoring the smoke, ignoring the absolute madness of what he was doing. He thrust the nozzle over the ridge and fired again. Another stream of flame, another explosion of heat. The bunker erupted, sending smoke and burning debris out of its vents. Marines behind Bowen rose from cover and cheered, a wild, desperate roar of disbelief. And then, impossibly, Bowen kept going. A third bunker sat deeper into the ridge, hidden behind rocks, firing into a different platoon. Bowen pivoted, stumbling from exhaustion, but still moving forward. The men around him could hardly believe it. A single Marine was doing the work of an entire assault team. A flamethrower man was attacking not one, not two, but three heavily fortified Japanese positions. Alone. Bowen reached the final bunker, dragged himself behind a tree stump blasted apart by mortar fire, and waited for the gun to pause. As soon as the barrel shifted, he stood, stepped into open ground, and emptied the last of his fuel straight into the firing slit. The explosion shook the entire ridge. Black smoke erupted from every opening. Ammunition inside the bunker ignited, popping like fireworks. Japanese soldiers staggered out, engulfed in flames, screaming into the humid air. The bunker collapsed inward, its roof cracking from the heat. Bowen fell to his knees, exhausted, shaking, gasping for breath. The flamethrower tanks hissed behind him. Empty. 3 bunkers. 90 seconds. The Marines behind him charged forward, overrunning the ridge. What had been a deadlock turned into a breakthrough. Bowen's reckless, impossible, borderline insane assault became the turning point. Word spread instantly across the regiment. There's a Marine who just burned out 3 bunkers by himself. Japanese soldiers were stunned. They had never seen a flamethrower man move like that. They believed flamethrowers belonged at the rear. Slow, cautious, protected. Bowen shattered that belief. American officers took notice too. What Bowen had done wasn't just courage, it was a new way of fighting, a way that used speed, aggression, and shock to overwhelm Japanese fortifications. Within weeks, Marine units were studying Bowen's assault. They developed a new doctrine: rapid close-range flame assaults, short rushes, low angles, fast burns, immediate withdrawal, tactics born from one man's sprint through hell. Bowen survived Peleliu, but he was never the same. He carried the scars, the nightmares, and the weight of what he'd done. But he also carried something else, the knowledge that in 90 seconds, a single man changed the entire Pacific campaign. And in the jungles and caves that followed, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, the Philippines, his doctrine saved thousands of American lives. The Japanese no longer mocked flamethrower crews, they feared them. And that fear started with one Marine's charge into fire. When historians talk about heroes, they often mention medals, ranks, or victories. But sometimes, a hero is just a man who sees others dying and decides he can't watch anymore. A man who runs toward the impossible because someone has to. Henry Bowen was that man, and his charge remains one of the most shocking, unbelievable, and defining moments in jungle warfare. If you want more forgotten stories like this, untold heroes, impossible missions, and moments that changed the world, like the video, subscribe to Shade of War, and comment which Pacific story you want next. This is Shade of War, where the past breathes again.